What is up, everybody? Thank you guys for watching the show. This is Counter Cause. I'm Evan Kaufman, joined by my good friend here, Mark Owens. Buff Mark Owens over here.
Thank you. Stop it. Are you on bulks or
He's
are you
our
on
version
cuts?
of Joe Rogan.
Yes, exactly. He is.
Hey, Mark, are you on bulks or are you on cuts right now?
Bulk?
Are you bulks or cuts right now?
Bulking.
He's bulking. How many calories you got to eat in a day for bulking?
Right now, I think I'm pushing about 3,500.
3,500. And when you're on cuts, how many?
When I was on cuts, I got down probably to about 1,500, and which mainly was protein. Carbs was maybe once a day, and it was in the morning. It was breakfast.
Okay. Well, it works for you, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Guys, we are also joined by Dr. John Gonino, who has been a family friend of ours for years, been on my dad's show for a long time. Really, really excited about this show. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to unpack here. So let's just jump right in, man.
Great.
Yes. Dr. G, how are you, man?
Thank you. And interestingly, guys, the first time Doug and I met was on radio. Got to be 30 years, Doug. I was
going to say, that was a while ago, right?
Yeah. 30 years probably, yeah. That's
Radio,
how long I've been in
TV.
practice, 30 years. So.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, last Friday. It was
Congratulations.
30 years last
No
Friday.
kidding, really?
Yeah, the 19th of July.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Wow, very cool. Very, very cool. Okay, so I know Mark and me both have a lot of questions.
Sure.
We're going to jump in. The one thing that I really want to start with here, and it's going to be a number of things, but the one thing that I want to start with is chelation therapy.
Yeah.
My mother actually has done chelation therapy with you and has just gone on and on and on about this. Told me that she looks better, feels better, joints move better. She's in her 60s and has felt better than she has in a long time. So this was interesting to me because I think it can benefit a lot of people. So I wanted to ask you, who in general does this benefit, and what exactly does this therapy look like?
Yeah, just a little bit of backdrop before we get there. So Genesis 6:3 says, "For I will not dwell with man forever, for he is indeed flesh, and his days shall number 120 years."
Yeah.
So it's January of 2016. I'm in Dallas, a place called the Unity Church. I'm sitting in a seminar, and the guy who's leading it pops a slide up on this big screen to my left. This lady's from Tibet, and she's 120 years old. On my right-handed screen is a picture of a lady from the Philippines who's also 120 years old. So if we know that's the end point, then the question becomes, what causes aging? So simplistically, as a second grader could get it, aging is simplistically rotting and rusting, fungus and toxins.
Yeah.
As we're born, we normally have the little fungus mouth, small intestine, large intestine vaginally. These items, antibiotics, steroid, birth control pill, living or flying at altitude or eating sugar, all of those things increase fungus, and they increase the speed at which we rot.
Let me ask you this.
Just like mold on bread. Yes, sir.
Real fast. Okay, so living or traveling in higher altitudes.
Yeah,
how does that work?
So the change in the atmospheric pressure kills off the normal bacterial flora in your gut and lets fungus overgrow.
Really?
Yeah. If you take a flamethrower and you burn all the grass on your front yard down to the brown dirt, and you don't touch it for 3 months, and you go back out front, what's it look like now?
Yeah, fried, right? Yeah.
Or it's grown in with what?
Weeds.
Exactly correct. Weeds is the opportunist that takes over a lawn when you destroy the normal ecology. Fungus is the opportunist that takes over your small intestine when you destroy it with antibiotics, steroids, and birth control.
And that happens with higher altitudes. That can change that pressure.
Correct.
So interesting.
Yeah. So that's rotting. Our bodies also are aging by rusting. Rusting is toxins primarily. We live in a country that burns 19,000 gallons of gasoline in 1 second, not to mention what doctors are doing to us. They're shooting gadolinium in us for MRI, they're shooting thallium in us for CAT scan, and they're shooting mercury and aluminum in us for vaccines. Toxins cause cancer directly, Alzheimer's directly, autism spectrum directly, and they create an acid pH in your body, which is where cancer grows. Good.
Metal.
So there's the indication, for chelation therapy is something that removes those toxins from the body.
Being in contact with these heavy metals, that's more of like a direct when you're getting these vaccinations or you're
Yes, exactly.
radiation and
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Now, what are some other common ways that we come in contact with some heavy metals. Eating.
Yes, yeah, that's in the food, it's in the water, it's in the air.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's in the air?
It's in the air. Yeah, car exhaust, jet exhaust.
Yeah.
What about specific foods? We know it's in a lot of chocolate. Right? Heavy metals are loaded. What about oats? Everybody's cereal?
I love the question. I'm going to try to make it as basic as possible and not get too esoteric. So if you can choose organic vegetables, I think that is a choice. If you can choose non-GMO, you want to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, we can get into the 2,094% increase in autism spectrum since 1990. That's been caused primarily by the fact that our crops, primarily corn and potatoes, are sprayed with Bt toxin and glyphosate.
Yeah, the glyphosate thing's crazy.
And so the supposed rationale is to inhibit the growth of organisms on the plants. Well, it makes sense for a little while until you harvest the plants and then you feed them to America's kids in the form of certain very popular corn chip brand or certain very popular potato chip brand. So you're looking for non-GMO verified, that's the little orange butterfly down in the corner. And then obviously if you can buy organic fruits and vegetables, you want to go there. The other thing, Ev, that we got to remember too about toxins is 85% of the people sitting at this table right here, including me, are fighting that battle with one arm tied behind their back called MTHFR mutation. Methyl tetrahydrofolate reductase, big old long word. Its job is to convert an amino acid called homocysteine into another amino acid called methionine. So let's put you in this boat with me for a moment because there's an 85% chance
in this, actually.
you're in this boat. Yeah. So implication number one, your liver needs methionine to be able to excrete heavy metals.
Yeah.
If you can't excrete them, that's more cancer and Alzheimer's as an adult and more autism spectrum as a child. Homocysteine is not moving downstream. This is inflammation in your arteries, so this is more heart attack and stroke. So it's bad news and bad news. The good news is there are supplements that a person can take, all of which I take every day myself because I have this issue. There's actually 5 mutations. I have the second worst one that support this enzyme and make it work better. Now you're detoxing toxins better, less cancer, Alzheimer's, same things pull down homocysteine, less heart attack and stroke. So that's huge.
Yeah, for sure. So in terms of chelation therapy used as therapy, what does that look like? Is it a direct injection?
Yeah, it's so we've got 3 different versions at the office. So first off, who are the potential candidates? In my opinion, everybody over the age of 40 is a candidate.
Okay. And is that's
sucking in toxins, and especially, I even emphasize this more for my healthy people because my healthy people have a halfway decent chance to be 85 years old someday.
Yeah.
If that's true, from that point, they'll either be in the 50% of the population that'll die from Alzheimer's, or they'll be in the 50% that'll die from something that's not Alzheimer's. So chelation helps you go down the not Alzheimer's road.
Wow. Right.
So everybody over 40, and then, autistic kids and such, we've got a whole program for that. But generally our autistic kids with the whole detox program, including chelation, generally I tell the parents, expect your child to improve about 40 to 70%. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be noticeably better.
Okay.
Now, what ages do you help treat?
If somebody twists my arm, I'll see somebody, lower than 12 months, but generally it's age 1 and up.
Okay.
That's great.
You sit there, you have this thing.
Yep, just IV. Yeah.
IV.
Yeah.
And what's in the IV? What's this?
Well, the EDTA is our number 1 chelator, which we can do either in a push version, which removes toxins, or the one I try to do every 4 weeks is the long version, remove toxins, scavenge free radicals that cause cancer, lower cholesterol about 9 to 16%, improve your kidney function.
Okay.
And the number 1 reason, for a lot of people, is to remove plaque from their arteries. I can give you a case if you want.
Yes, please.
It's a fun and funny case.
Yeah, please.
And this fella's in the book. This is a fella named Pat from Sulphur Springs, Texas. It's about a little over 2 hours to our office. I met him in 2019. He actually had the Widowmaker heart attack in 2017. So his left anterior descending was 99% blocked. So they took him to the cath lab. They stented him. And when they were in there, they noticed that his right coronary and his left circumflex were both 80% blocked, but they didn't touch those two arteries. They were primarily concerned with saving his life and getting him off the table. So that's 2017. As things go in the kingdom, where we're all connected, he meets Mary, who's a longtime patient of ours from Sulphur Springs, who says, my doctor does these treatments in his office that can remove plaque from your arteries. One is chelation long bag, and the other is IV hydrogen peroxide, which also works great on candida. So at any rate, he comes in and he alternates 10 hydrogen peroxide with 10 long bag chelation treatments. And then COVID comes and we lose track of him. He gets lost to follow-up. When he represents to the medical community, it's 2021, and he's at the cardiologist's office in Sulphur Springs. Cardiologist walks in the room. He says, Pat, you're 65 years old and you're fixing to die from a heart attack. And he says, why is that? He says, because you're not taking that Lipitor drug I told you to take. So as the patient's telling me this story for the first time, he says, so you know what you do when your cardiologist tells you you're going to die from a heart attack, right? I'm like, no, what do you do? He goes, find yourself a different cardiologist.
I was going to say, yeah.
So
That's always a good option.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Maybe I might get another opinion there.
So he goes to Dallas and he finds himself a new cardiologist. New cardiologist takes him to the cath lab, and his Widowmaker artery, that left anterior descending that was formerly 99% blocked, is 100% blocked after stenting in these IVs. And in his right coronary and his left circumflex, the arteries that were previously 80% blocked are now 20% blocked after doing alternating chelation long bag with hydrogen peroxide IVs.
How many therapies is that?
Well, that was 20 for him.
Okay,
20
20
for that result. Now, he still comes every 4 weeks for maintenance and all that.
Okay, so I'm glad that you just brought that up real quick, because whenever you do the protocol, and then you shift into maintenance, if you stop maintenance for some reason, does it come back with vengeance?
No, not vengeance.
Not vengeance.
But slowly.
But it slowly starts
Slowly comes back.
Okay, interesting.
But would be accelerated if the person was put on antibiotics or steroids, because that makes more fungus, which then accelerates the rotting speed.
It's alternating your terrain.
Yeah, exactly. Like we talked about the other day.
So real quick, like for viewers who are watching that don't really understand heavy metals, can you simplify just some common symptoms that somebody would have to say, this is common with heavy metals, in the body, in the bloodstream?
Number one would be any kind of thing affecting the brain.
Like a brain fog kind of thing?
Brain fog. My memory doesn't seem to be as good as it used to be. Any kind of movement disorder, Parkinson's, Lou Gehrig's, multiple sclerosis, any kind of anything that involves higher functioning, cognitive functioning is going to be affected by heavy metals. It's also going to cause fatigue and joint pain and muscle aches. All of that has to do with an overly acid pH.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to just talk about this, guys, for half a second, what I'm holding in my hand is what I believe, just my personal opinion. And I always tell my patients, I'll always separate fact from opinion for you guys as much as I can. It's my opinion that this is everybody's most important supplement. And you would say, well, Dr. G, why would you say that? Every single chronic disease, whether you're talking about cancer, heart disease, arthritis, osteoporosis, the common theme in all of those things is an overly acid pH. So the purpose of this is to make us more alkaline. Now, yes, we got to do all the detox, right? We got to do all the different things to get rid of the acid, and we can talk about that whenever, today or another day. So we got to get the bad stuff out, but we also want to be putting the good stuff in at the same time. So this you can find, the website for this particular product is powered by Gonino. So anyway.
How do you take this? You just like mix
I when I get to work, I have a 24-ounce thermos, so I fill that up, and then I just put 1 scoop in there and stir it up and drink about half in the mid-morning and about the other half in the mid-afternoon. It works. It's really best taken on an empty stomach-ish. God gives us stomach acid to digest our foods, so we try not to interfere with God as much as possible. So this is not something at mealtime, it's something between meals.
Gotcha. Okay.
And what are the pillar ingredients in this? Like,
Pillar ingredients are calcium, magnesium, sodium, and potassium. Those are the pillars. And then we've got trace minerals in here: zinc, selenium, copper, and chromium. And this formula was actually downloaded into my brain at a place called God's House in Houston, Texas.
Oh, cool.
And I was at a 3-day seminar down there, and Holy Spirit was moving, and I was off to myself, and
Yeah.
so
It just happened.
It just happened.
So when you take this, is there anything that you can like feel up front? Is there a difference?
I just last week, we had a couple miracles really on the same day. Nice fella from San Angelo, Texas. His name is Ryan. Said, "Hey, absolutely fixed my muscle cramps. I have absolutely no more muscle cramps.
Interesting.
In my recovery after workout," he said, "I don't have as much muscle soreness after I work out now by taking this supplement."
So this it hydrates,
Hydration and mineralization. And then the same day, had a fella in as a cancer patient who's absolutely crushing it. His name's Jack. His daughter was with him that day, and at the end of the appointment said, "Hey, Dr. G, I got to give you a Hydrostack testimony. My husband was put on Prilosec for reflux, and after coming here and learning about the diet and this and that and the other, put him on the diet. I took him off of the Prilosec and put him on Hydrostack, and he has no more reflux anymore."
That's amazing. So you could take this, and it can help with your day-to-day nutrition, but then also too, if you couple it with digestive enzymes, probiotics, your whole,
the whole body changes,
the whole digestion system, that's amazing.
Yeah. And in our office, the small intestine is the king and the thyroid is the queen. So by maximizing function of your small intestine,
Can you explain that? Like, why is that?
Well, of course, my first trainer in integrative medicine, Dr. Majid Ali, I think he's still alive. I think he'd be like 95, and your dad knows him.
Wow.
Be like 95 or 96 now. But in April of 1996, the first tenet is injured tissues heal with nutrients, not drugs. So in other words, for you to get maximal nutrition into your body, you have to have an optimally performing small intestine. So that's going to be decreasing fungus, which in our office is often done with prescription antifungals. Now the question could come up, well, Dr. G, I heard about, oregano oil or caprylic acid as natural antifungals. I would say if that's all you have, take it. But in our office, it's tough to put out a bonfire with a squirt gun.
Yeah.
If you guys follow me.
That's a good...
My patients have been assaulted with birth control pills, antibiotics, and steroids. Those all make tremendous amounts of fungus, bonfire size fungus. So squirt gun isn't going to work on that. You're going to have something a little more high power.
Are you doing something like diflucan or nystatin?
Yeah, nystatin primarily, because it's less expensive, more gentle on the liver.
Yeah.
Fluconazole is a great drug. We do tons of it IV every day in our office, but it's a little tougher on the liver and it has a fair amount of drug interactions. So a lot of these people are on other medications. So so nystatin is our primary oral. But we do IV diflucan, and some people are allergic to the azoles, so we have caspofungin now available, which is a major butt kicker for fungus. But yeah, back to Mark's question. You've got to kill out the bad guys, then you've got to seed the, like he's talking about, probiotics and digestive enzymes. Right? You got to put grass seed and fertilizer down. You got to water your lawn, right? Which is your hydration point you made. We change SUN to SON. We just pray over the whole situation. And then if they've got, rashes or runny nose or some kind of peripheral symptoms that indicate like leaky gut, then we typically use colostrum to patch up their leaky gut holes, whether it's in bone broth form or in a.
You guys got to figure it out.
Like a powder.
It's really cool.
It's really solid, and it's very like when you The way that you
so
explain it is
easy,
simple.
guys, and
Yeah.
it's so
easy.
inexpensive in context. Inexpensive in context. You know, I'll have a lot. Is this covered on my insurance? Well, your office visit's covered and your labs are covered.
Yeah.
But class is not covered. IV's not covered. Oral supplements aren't covered. And I want you to think hundreds, not thousands. I want you to think $800 or $900, not $8,000 or $9,000. Well, that's within the reach of most people.
And God bless you for that too, Doc.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
But it's long term too, right? Because
It is long term.
You fix the problem now, you don't have to keep coming back.
There
for
you
go.
years on
Absolutely.
end.
Yeah.
There you go.
So
Absolutely.
it's
Yeah.
maintenance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's right.
You brought something up that is the queen.
Yeah,
And it's the thyroid.
thyroid's the queen, man.
I have seen recently a spike in thyroid issues, mainly in women.
Yep.
They hit close to home for me. Why is this? Why is there a rise in thyroid issues right now?
So 2 points that I want to get out. Number one, guys, we're seeing some pretty serious stuff in young people now that just did not exist in my time and place. And again, I want to just give you guys props for being the next generation of healers. You know, I love what I do. You can get the passion that I have, but I'm 62. I'm not going to be around forever. And there's some other stuff, like to go to Bulgaria or something. Yeah. Or I don't know. But, so I really appreciate what you guys are doing, Brett, as well. What you're doing and taking on this work. 'Cause it's fun. It's exciting. But again, when you are speaking truth, there will be forces out there that want to quiet you.
Yep.
I mean, my hero is Dr. Martin Luther King. I mean, they quieted him on April 4th of 1968. But the guy's speaking truth, y'all. Forgiveness is not an occasional act. Forgiveness is a permanent attitude.
Man, I love that.
Get you some of that.
I love that.
Okay, that's him. Yeah. So, so there's a lot of sickness in the younger population now, and I think it has to do, truthfully, with there's a lot more toxins, right? There's a lot more jet fumes. There's a lot more car exhaust. There's a lot more vaccines.
Yeah.
There's a lot more BT toxin and glyphosate, and so these are creating, illnesses. I looked at 2 cases this morning that are just guys just crushing me, just absolutely crushing me. This one young lady's 35, and she's looks fit and healthy, but she's got metastatic colon cancer. And I believe that's because the powers that be, that I don't really want to name, just to kind of maybe halfway protect myself, the powers that be, I think, purposefully, again, just my opinion, purposefully genetically modified God's wheat so that 40% of the population, which includes my own daughter, are sensitive to gluten. So when these people put it in their body doesn't recognize it, so it starts to attack self, creating $350,000 breast cancer, colon cancer patients, and creating a need for all those $5,900 a month drugs we were chatting about earlier today. So back to the thyroid. At the moment, back to Dr. Ali, in 1996 taught me this as well. The tender meat cooks first. So the thyroid is the tender meat, right? So if you're in this 40% of the population, 40% of the population, 4 out of 10 people you see on the street.
Yep.
If you're in this 40% and you don't know it, or you know it but you don't respect it, it's like Chinese water torture, right? It's not going to take you down in one exposure, but in multiple exposures, it's going to take you down, right? So we have these are all female, to Mark's point, ages 22, 25, 26, 37, and 39, all females right now in the practice with thyroid cancer.
Wow.
The tender meat cooks first. So that's point number 1 about thyroid. Point number 2, just the queen in general. There's a difference in our office between normal functioning of the thyroid and optimal functioning of the thyroid. So 18 years ago, with my normal thyroid blood work. I'm in Portland, Oregon at a conference, and the guy who's basically lecturing on this. So when he gets done, I go over to his booth. It's like he's got a little thing over there, and I put my arm on a block of wood, and he stabs me with a needle, and he shocks me. Doc, your reflexes are kind of slow. I think you'd benefit from taking some thyroid medicines, what he says to me 18 years ago. Thought about it. It's like, yeah, why not? If I don't like it, I'll just chuck it. So I started taking it, and what impressed me on day one is what was not happening. In other words, if I'm putting something in my body that's not good for me, I'm probably going to hear from the Holy Spirit, like, don't do that. That did not happen. Two things did happen that I loved, and because of these two things, I've taken this medicine for 18 years, and I do not have a thyroid problem. Most important to me personally, the 2:00 in the afternoon, that thing, that thing went away, as did 13 pounds of fat that I didn't need. Wow. So as you, the viewer, are watching this show, you're asking yourself, I'm more tired than I want to be. I've had some issues with my hair, skin, or nails. I've had some issues with focus, concentration, memory. My periods are heavy, long, crampy, clotty, or PMSy. Any and all of that is the potential difference between normal and optimal thyroid.
So interesting. Okay.
And what is the purpose of the thyroid for everybody?
General metabolism. Sets your general metabolic rate, how fast you burn calories at rest, controls your peristalsis in your gut, controls your skin, nail, and hair health. She's the queen. Yeah, that's why we call her the queen.
And Evan, check out this stat on the TV here in terms of thyroid.
So, okay, check this out. Unfortunately, there are numerous disorders that can affect the thyroid, and women are at higher risk for thyroid issues than men. About 1 in every 8 women will suffer from thyroid illness during her lifetime, according to American Thyroid Association.
It says will suffer too, right? Like it's not avoidable.
Will happen.
Yeah, this is you have to deal with this, and this is the way it is.
One thing you had talked about also, and it got me thinking, when you'd said that the tender meat cooks first, right?
The tender meat cooks first.
One thing that I am scared about, and have tried to get ahead of this as much as I can.
Even though health revelation number 2 is have
they
no
just
fear.
Keep on coming to me. No, I know. That's a good one for sure. Exposures to EMFs, exposures to radiation from cell phones. I mean, I drive a Tesla, so it's like I've got like the battery radiation, just all of these things that I've basically since 2007, I got the iPhone, right? And I've been holding in my hand a device that is capable of connecting to Wi-Fi, to Bluetooth, cellular functions. I mean, I've got to be just absorbed in this stuff. Somebody like me, who I think in general is, healthy, what can I be doing other than chelation or with chelation to kind of get rid of all of that crap that I am accumulating from this stuff?
First off, Ev, I want to just thank you for bringing up the topic because it's very real. I'm going to share that with you.
Yeah.
Before that, though, I raced a Tesla. I was in a Porsche Boxster S this morning, guys, and raced a Tesla and lost.
They're fast, man.
It's immediate.
I'm a loser.
I've seen those Teslas beat Corvettes.
And all the stuff.
The Plaids are crazy. The Plaids are insane. It's the fastest car. It's wild.
So anyway, little humble pie today for me.
It's another game.
Tasted pretty
Playing
good.
a different game.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, totally.
But yes, so the problem is real. We have patients in the practice at the moment, 10-year-old boy, 11-year-old boy, and 15-year-old female with brain cancer primary tumors. Now, only
11-year-old boy?
10, 11, and 15.
Oh, gosh, man.
Only 3%, these are brain cancer primaries. Only 3% of brain cancer is a primary tumor. 97% of the time when cancer's in the brain, it's spread there from some other location in your body. So these kids, guys, are not smoking 3 packs of cigarettes a day. That's not how they got their cancer.
Right.
Somebody gave them a cell phone when they were 7 years old, and they're just sitting there frying their brain. The tender meat cooks first. And a 7-year-old brain or a 10-year-old brain or a 15-year-old brain is much more tender than us. So I always talk on speaker.
That's what I was. Is it mainly a concern if this is against your ear, basically?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm not
So
the super expert on it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. If you're holding it, and honestly, when you text, ideally you'll comprise your text and set it down, and then tap your send button. Rather than
that's what I've been trying to do,
just in your hand,
right? Not have it in my hand as much as I can.
I've like for a couple of years now, I put it in my back pocket if I have it on me.
Oh, I know.
Put it in my front pocket.
Yeah.
I see, and this is like just caution out there. Like I see some women that'll put them like in their sports bras,
Right.
at the at the gym or something like that.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh, that
Yeah.
cannot be good.
Seems
Yeah.
like maybe a bad idea.
Yeah.
Don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
You know, put it in your purse or something. Or
Well, I heard too that Apple released a statement that said that we shouldn't have these things on us at all, like pockets or anything. And I don't
they
think
just released this.
no. This was like a while ago. This was like years ago. I mean,
But not when it
Check
first
me
came
on
out, though.
no, I don't think so. But they also
Because that would have been
haven't-
helpful.
Yeah, right. I would have loved to have known that.
Yeah, here you go. 2007.
Apple
supposed
also
to touch-
explicitly states that the phone is not supposed to touch your body much, if at all. In fact, the manual for the iPhone 5, Apple says users should carry their phone a full 10 millimeters or 0.39 inches away from their bodies at all times.
And that was in
And that's
in
iPhone
2014.
2014,
7
right?
years after it came out.
But what's even more interesting is the cell phone regulations in general haven't been updated since I think like 1991. And so, I mean, these things are, and tech has changed a lot, right? I mean, if they were concerned about this in 91, imagine what this thing's doing now, right? I mean, that's just freaky to me.
My one comment to this is the destruction of sperm is real.
Yeah. That's another thing that I heard a lot about.
When I was in medical school, 2/3 of infertility was on the female side of the equation. Now it's 50-50.
Yeah.
Half of infertility is because sperm can't swim. They've been hammered by EMF.
You think this is like a lot of that?
I do.
I mean, in our pockets and
100%.
everything at all times?
Absolutely.
It's got to be, right?
Yep.
I mean, yeah.
Yep.
So, in addition to chelation, I know that you also offer like saunas and like detox, don't you? Or didn't you at one point?
We did.
Or what's
We
your thoughts
did.
on that?
Yeah. So we had a far infrared sauna. We no longer have it, not because it's not a good thing. In fact, arguably, if you're looking, let's say you don't have access to chelation or some of these things, and you're looking for like, what's my number one? I've got $2,700.
Yeah.
How can I best spend this for detox?
Yeah.
Far infrared sauna. Skin is the largest organ of the body.
Mm-hmm.
Skin, muscle, deep tissue, and fat detox. 4 areas you can detox with one tool.
Sauna.
Amazing.
Far infrared sauna. So Mark, yeah, we had one, but we bought like the one that you would buy for your house, which is meant to be used maybe once or twice a week.
Yeah.
And we're running it from 8 to 5
constantly.
p.m. And we absolutely fried the motherboard.
Did
on
you?
it, yeah.
Okay.
We chopped it up and used it for firewood.
Let me ask you this real quick. Talk to me a little bit about the differences or benefits in far infrared versus a traditional.
There's Brett taking
Brett's
care of
already
us
ahead
right
of
there,
it.
man.
Come on.
Enhanced circulation, improved cardiovascular health, boosted metabolism, reduced pain and inflammation, improved mood, and sleep.
So
quality.
these are things that you wouldn't get with a traditional, steam sauna.
Not as much.
Okay, like
Yeah,
a dry
not
sauna.
as much.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's because the technology penetrates.
Wow, look
deeper.
at how good those prices are, guys. Did you see that?
No, go back real quick.
Brett's
Should we buy
laughing
one?
Brett's laughing at me.
Wow, is it $1,100 for a far infrared sauna?
Wow, right?
Wow.
Yeah, and again, that's the as you guys know with technology, right? The further you go in, the cheaper stuff gets.
That's
right.
right.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, here's one for you.
Yeah.
Because this is before you guys are born. So when I'm in 7th grade, the first pocket calculator was made by Texas Instruments in Dallas, Texas. This is me growing up in Cortland, New York, which is about 30 miles south of Syracuse. $35
For a calculator.
In what
listen,
decade?
in $1973.
That's a lot of money.
Wow, that is
$35.
Yeah.
Now they're $4 at
Oh yeah.
Target, right,
Got it
or
on your
whatever.
phone too. Just built in now.
Yeah. $0 now. It's probably included. Throw it in for free.
And there you go. For reference, a gallon of gas in 1973 costs an average in Texas 39 cents.
Thank
a
you.
gas.
Wow.
So there you go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
Enough to fill a Volkswagen Bug for $2.50.
Wow.
Could you imagine?
That's
Wow.
insane. That is insane. We have come a long, long way. Will you talk a little bit about the differences in near infrared sauna versus far infrared? Isn't there a difference in the two?
I'm sure there is.
Okay.
That's probably a better Brett question.
Yeah,
Doctor,
gotcha.
what's our search engine called?
Yeah, Dr.
Is
Google.
it Google?
Dr. Google. Yeah.
That's a
Near infrared and
you go.
far infrared are two types of infrared energy that differ in wavelength and how they penetrate the body. So NIR has a shorter wavelength, just past visible red light on the electromagnetic spectrum. Far has the longest wavelength, closer to radio waves and further from visible light. I wonder if what it's saying, which one is better.
There you go. Keep going. You almost got it. Penetration.
Oh, thank you. NIR penetration deeply, but targets shallower tissues. Okay, far penetrates deeper, potentially reaching the muscles and joints. There it is. Google, everybody.
What does that
Google
mean?
AI too.
What does it mean exactly, though? Near penetrates deeply, but targets shallow tissues.
Just exactly what it sounds like. Skin versus.
So it saturates the shallow tissues more,
correct.
essentially.
So it's hitting that more than like the muscles and like the joints
Exactly.
and everything. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
And you're
Probably
an
be-
advocate of which one?
There might be. I mean, I love how techie you guys are, by the way. I
We're all
come from a
nerds,
totally
man.
different generation, so it's just I'm just in awe of your guys, y'all's knowledge. There might be a combination near and far, you know.
I wonder if there
and
is,
if not, we need to invent it.
Yeah, there you go. Patent that right now.
Or you can.
If you had to choose one, which one? would
Well,
you recommend?
I obviously I chose far.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
that's the one we had in our office
Right.
until we cooked it. So
Yeah.
in its place is hyperbaric oxygen, which is a whole nother topic if we want to go there.
I've done this.
Let's
Tremendous.
go. What is this? I don't know anything about this.
Tremendous utility, guys.
Oxygen chamber? I've
Oh,
done this, yeah.
yes, I have. Okay. Yeah, that is cool.
And that will help in detoxing as well, or just recovery.
Not
or-
so much in detox. Tremendous utility. In fact, in December of 2017, when we bought it, I actually called Dr. Sinatra and I said, "Hey, Doc, I'm thinking about buying a hyperbaric chamber. Not super expensive, but it's a fairly it's not a cheap item by any stretch. So I'm kind of feeling it out with people I know. And hey, Doc, what do you think?" He goes, "As far as I'm concerned, it's absolutely the treatment of choice for stroke rehab."
Really?
'Cause
Oh,
you
interesting.
Think about what we're doing. I mean, right now, the four of us are breathing air, which is 21% oxygen, right? Mostly nitrogen. So think about lying in a chamber that looks like a small submarine,
Yeah.
where you're infusing 100% oxygen,
Yeah.
and you're now pressurizing it to 1.5 atmospheres is equivalent to about 19 feet of seawater. So you're pressing it into the tissues, and think how
You're forcing it in, basically.
absolutely.
Wow, interesting.
And
Okay.
actually, even Medicare covers the cost of this for like radiation-induced necrosis. They'll cause for wound healing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Insurance covers it for that kind of stuff
Interesting.
because it's so much faster. And when you can get the wound healed up quicker, now Medicare's paying less for complications and hospitalizations.
Sure.
Skin infections and IV antibiotics and hospitalization cost and all of that stuff.
And this is probably big in sports medicine too, I'd imagine, right? For recovery,
Yeah,
for sports players.
and of course, it's critical for dive medicine, right? Because sometimes those guys come up too quick and they get what's called the bends.
Yeah.
And so you stick them in a chamber and repressurize them, and that's the treatment to get them out of those contracted muscles.
What is your thoughts on cold therapies like ice baths or cryo saunas?
John 14:16, I will send you a helper. The name of this helper is called the Holy Spirit. If you want, you can trust that over any doctor, including Dr. Gonino. If you're curious, I would say have an experience with it. I was not personally impressed, so it's not something that I do, but I'm not against it.
Sure.
And if you do it, let's say you got shoulder pain and you're going to go in a cryo unit or whatever, and you go in there and you get a treatment, you come out, you don't have any shoulder pain.
Yeah.
Absolutely, you're going to keep doing it.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. We did a thing one night where we have a friend in our neighborhood who has a sauna, and then right next to it, he has the cold plunge. So we did the sauna for half an hour, got baked in there, and then jump in the cold plunge, and then back in the sauna, back in the cold plunge. And man, I'm telling you, by the time we were done, I felt like I was in a different planet. Like I felt it is the most bizarre feeling. Like you feel kind of high almost, but you're just. But man, afterwards, I ate a huge dinner. I slept like I was a dead person. I felt amazing afterwards. And I don't know if there's anything about the combination of the two or if one does more than the other one does, or if it's just this idea that it's, extreme hot, extreme cold, extreme hot, extreme cold, and that's what does it. But man,
Maybe.
yeah, I don't know. I felt amazing afterwards.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
I've heard that if you're detoxing, to drink distilled water. Have you ever heard this for like a month or 2 months? Is there a reason behind that?
I don't know, but it makes great sense to me.
Why does that make sense?
I would think just because the less impurities, the greater the ability of the water to gather the impurities in your more space, I guess, to gather the impurities and
Flush them.
and help them get out.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, it makes good sense to me.
We should do like a detox myth thing.
Yeah.
Like five myths on detox.
Yeah.
Well, here's an interesting one.
Yeah.
This is something we discussed yesterday off camera, but the cilantro is an indicator, supposedly, that you have heavy metals, because some people get that metallic taste if they eat cilantro.
Yeah.
Some don't, and everybody's like, why is that? Well, then I looked it up yesterday. Brett, can you pull that up? Cilantro and heavy metals. And so supposedly, I don't know, there's a connection there.
Cilantro leaves, also known as Coriandrum sativum. Is that right? I'm
It is
the
correct.
worst reader in the world.
That is correct.
Have shown some ability to reduce the absorption of heavy metals, but there is limited evidence to support the claim it can remove them from the body.
Okay.
Go ahead and read the next one, though. Under
Chelation. Yeah. Cilantro leaves can produce a chelating effect in water with heavy metals, which means they can grip and remove harmful metal ions from solution.
Yeah.
God, that's so, man.
That's interesting.
So
but
interesting.
I'm also, does it say anything about if it's an indicator to let you know you have heavy metals? Is that by giving you that metallic taste?
It's super easy. I would say super easy to qualify and quantify your toxic load. It's a 24-hour urine collection that we do. Very affordable. I think it runs about $150.
Okay.
We check for 20 different toxins. And once you know what you're up against, then we can coach you up on how to get it out
Yeah.
and how much treatment you need.
Yeah.
Man,
I'm going to do that. That seems like something I could do from afar, right? It's like I live in Austin. I'm not close per se, but I could get that done, and then I could treat with, either like a plan that you guys give us or however, right?
Sure, there's chelators, doctors that do it in Austin.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that, man.
Yeah.
I'm just getting to an age where it's just like I worry about all this, crap around us, the phone
It's
thing,
just,
obviously.
you guys are doing great. The thing is to realize, what we're up against and then be proactive,
Yeah.
What steps can I take to, to keep myself well?
The scary thing is we're up against so much.
Yeah, we are.
That's what's scary.
It is, but, have no fear.
Yeah.
And, and again, we want to stay well and prevent for our own personal benefit, but also so we can serve in the kingdom.
Amen.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's the number one reason that we're trying to stay well is so we can make a bigger impact in the kingdom.
Amen.
Yep.
And so like that being said, like the modern man is faced with like a lot more stresses today.
100%.
How do you yourself train mentally, physically, spiritually to battle this? Because let's talk about cortisol. Let's talk about stress and just everything that we're exposed to today as a modern man, as a Christian father, husband, breadwinner. Like, what do you suggest? Like, what's your daily routine look like? What do your diets look like?
My workout as a 62-year-old is going to look a whole lot different than your workout as a 37-year-old. That's huge. Okay. So I'm 62 now. When I was 57, I had a stroke. Working out with a guy 19 years my junior who's an absolute beast in the gym, as in squat 495 for a set of 7.
Wow.
Okay. So anyway, this is my workout partner.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to keep up with them.
Yeah.
But heavy chest day is heavy chest day. Everything's relative.
Yeah.
So it's December 20th of said year, and it's super cold out with a super cold wind chill, and it's heavy chest day. We're almost done, and I'm just not feeling quite right. And I was like, hey guys, I think I'm going to call it a day. And we were pretty close to being done anyway. So I walked across the gym floor and I was fine. But as soon as I hit that cold air, man, I started spinning and yuking, and I grabbed onto the back of a truck bumper. Now it's wintertime, and we usually start our workouts like 5:15 a.m. So it's still dark out there. Yeah. And it's funny, when you're in a situation like that, what you think of, the very first thought that crossed my mind that day is, I wonder if I'm going to freeze to death today. Wow. Because I can tell you what I'm not going to do. I am not turning loose of this truck bumper. I'm not signing up for that vertigo Yukon thing again. That ain't happening. So at any rate, so I catch somebody's, running by or whatever. I say, help. And this girl comes over. I said, do you know my buddy? Yes, I do. He takes me home, pours me into bed. I just think I'm dehydrated or something. But I got enough women in my life that care about me. So 6 days later, I'm in for a scan. And we got to talk about scans too. But there's 2 safe scans, ultrasound and MRI without contrast. So I go in for MRI without contrast of my brain, and I'm in the locker room putting my shirt on, and the radiologist goes like this, calls me in there, says, "You see that?" I say, "Yeah, I see it." He goes, "That's a cerebellar stroke." And I said, "Can I swear?"
Sure. Yeah.
I said, "No shit." And he said, 7 days ago? I said, "How about 6 days ago?" He goes, "Yeah, close enough." Wow. So at any rate, what I learned that day is 37 and 62 is not the same thing. That was my last heavy day. It's the last heavy day of lifting I ever did. So it's all just reps now, 10 to 15 reps of. So Monday, honestly, my Monday workout is coffee enema.
Okay.
Best way to detox your liver is coffee enema. It's dirt cheap. Costs you about $18.54 for the equipment and 25 cents a week after that. Now in y'all's age group, that's every 3 weeks for you guys.
Okay.
Again,
once every 3 weeks?
Once every 3 weeks for you guys.
Okay.
Once a week in my age group.
Okay.
That's my Monday.
Okay.
Tuesdays is my chest day. Wednesday is legs. Thursday's back, and Friday's arms. Saturday and Sunday, my neighborhood takes me about 40 minutes to walk. So I walk on Saturday and Sunday for 40 minutes. And then Tuesday and Thursday evening, I do yoga for an hour. Okay. And that's my week.
How long are you training for when you're in the gym?
Again, get on the stationary bike about 5. I'm off the stationary bike 25 after 5. And then train for probably 55 minutes till about 20 after 6. And then I'm home by 6:30 in the shower.
Are you working out fasted or no? Do you eat?
I work out fasted, but
Do you? Okay.
But I'm not. I'm a big breakfast advocate. So if a person said, "Hey, I feel a whole lot better if I eat breakfast and wait 2 hours and then work out,"
yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, that's tricky for me. I like to work out first thing in the morning, just like you. I don't necessarily like to eat first thing in the morning, but I notice that I have a much better workout if I do eat. So it's kind of trade off there. I didn't know if there's one that would benefit over the other. I guess it just depends on the person, probably.
100%.
Yeah.
Holy Spirit.
Yep.
Let them lead.
Yep.
What's the most important macro to get in your body for breakfast?
Well, protein is our long-lasting energy, so there are different sources of that. As we were talking earlier, I think eggs are the healthiest food on the planet. All the work in our body is done by enzymes. Enzymes rely on amino acids. There are 20 amino acids our body has to have. 12 of them it can make itself from other amino acids. 8 of them have to be supplied from the diet. All 8 of those are found in egg whites, so that's why it's considered the perfect protein. Fish would fall into second place, chicken, turkey, and on down the line.
And the bioavailability for protein in eggs is the highest of any food, right? Eggs is 97%, beef is 94%. You start getting down into the plant-based protein, that's in like the 40%. So when they
Is it really that low?
Yeah, so when they say on the back of the nutrition facts, when they say it has, 20 grams of protein for this plant-based burger, your body can only absorb how much of that? Less than half, right? Wow. You have 20 grams of eggs, you're getting just about the entire 20 grams.
Yeah.
And so that's important for people to understand.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I was going to say a typical weekday breakfast, I have a NutriBullet, so I don't tolerate spinach. I've had 4 kidney stones. I traced it to oxalate.
Oxalates, yeah.
Oxalate and spinach.
Toxic superfoods.
Yeah, man.
Toxic superfoods, man.
That's a thing for sure.
Yeah.
Weird.
I do great with kale, so I've got organic kale in there with organic mint. organic frozen blueberries, a scoop of plant-based protein powder, unsweetened oat milk. That's a Monday through Friday thing. And then weekends, it's usually eggs and, whatever, toast, fruit, hash browns, something like that.
So what's your caloric intake if you had to guess?
I have no idea, man. I really don't. I don't really count calories. I'm not against it. But one thing, guys, that's important, when we talk about diet is you have to remember that just a sole protein diet won't get it done. Right. Every tissue in your body can burn fat for fuel with the exception of two tissues. Your brain, do you know the other one?
I don't. Your heart?
Your red blood cells.
Okay. They need glucose.
That's correct. And guess who runs the show? Your brain.
Your brain.
So if you're not feeding it carbs, now carbs can be vegetables and carbs can be fruit, preferably low index glycemic index fruits like blueberry, blackberry, and Granny Smith apple. If you're not feeding it carbs, then it will break down your muscle tissue to form ketone bodies to supply energy to your brain.
Right. Or
that's a problem when you're breaking down your muscle tissue because now you're decreasing your basal metabolic rate. And if you eat the same amount of calories, you're going to start gaining fat.
Right. And this is a problem for a lot of people maybe on the carnivore diet too, right?
Correct.
That they run into is
100%.
The protein's broken down through gluconeogenesis. The brain's a glucose machine. It has to have it.
That's right.
So it depends. There's a fine balance there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And gluconeogenesis works as long as you have glycogen in your liver, and then what are you going to do?
Right.
Burn up your muscle glycogen, then what are you going to do? You're effed.
Hurt the liver.
You're effed.
Yeah. So do you think that like the carnivore or like the lion's diet is good for maybe short term, like at all, or what's your thoughts on
well, it's basically modified ketogenic diet. You just gotta, the issue, guys. We're gonna at some point in our 3 series thing we're doing together.
I think we're gonna do at least 10 now. We said 3, but I just don't think that's.
We've got to broach the topic of greed because it's huge. It's what we're fighting against, but we're fighting subtly with the Holy Spirit, which is going to win, right? But so we've got to talk about greed. So. So again, Brett, bring me back. Where were we?
We were talking about the carnivore diet and whether or not.
Modified ketogenic diet. So the issue is not about fat. The issue is not about cholesterol.
Amen.
That's an invented disease to create millions in the statin industry and $256,000 coronary artery bypass graft surgery because they're ignoring the cause of the problem, which is inflammation. How sticky are your arteries measured by homocysteine? So they're distracting us, okay? That's how they're getting rich.
One of my favorite jokes that I've ever heard is that cholesterol was arrested at the crime scene with blood all over it, trying to repair the damage, and sugar was nowhere to be found.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. The issue with the obesity issue in our country has nothing to do with cholesterol, and it has nothing to do with steak. It has everything to do with starch super sufficiency. If I want this thing right here to go away, I'm going to have to cut out pizza, and I'm going to have to cut out spaghetti, and I'm going to have to cut out chips and all of that stuff. That's our issue, guys.
One of the things that I noticed with the carnivore diet that was really important for me moving forward is that once I was on it for a certain amount of time and I started to phase other foods back in, I could tell right away whether or not my body really tolerated them. Right?
Yeah.
Or whether or not I had an issue. And I said, you know what, that's no good for me.
Yeah, good.
This works for me, that doesn't.
Nice.
So now I've narrowed it down. It's like having you don't want to have a ton of friends. You want a very small group of friends. Same thing with the food. For me, certain things work.
Yeah, 100%. I was going to say the exact thing too. I did carnivore for about 3 months, Dr. G, and I felt amazing on it. I felt great. And I think what a lot of that is obviously eating like higher amounts of protein, but then also cutting out, exactly what you had just said, eliminating pastas, eliminating pizza, eliminating, empty carbs. But I am curious, do you think that there is a time and a place for a diet like that? Is it obviously we're kind of saying probably not a great thing for long-term use, but is there a time and a place for doing like I did, 3 months here and there?
Yeah, I certainly, I would never contradict the Holy Spirit. Your experience was a positive experience. Trust that over every doctor, including me. You got to trust that, guys, over every doctor, including me.
Yeah. No, that's great advice.
Yeah.
So let's keep talking about your routine. So we talked about, your exercise, your diet. What about your spiritual routine? What does your prayer life look like? What is it? What do you spend devotional time?
Yeah, I was a regular, well, I grew up Catholic, and I was serving Mass when I was 7 years old at 7 a.m. as an altar boy, so that's my background. And I sort of left what I'm going to call traditional church about 41 years old. I sort of got it at that point, It seemed like it was more routine. I wasn't learning. So then I, kind of started branching off into some of these, different experiences and down at God's house in Houston, this took a whole different view of, religion is it's not really serving the Creator. It's just kind of serving mankind. So it's a whole different shift when you move into the vibrational space of love and compassion. And do you mind if I throw a couple of examples out?
Please.
So first off, this patient's name is Mary, and her diagnosis is rosacea. She has a 12 o'clock appointment, so she comes in and it looks like her face has been flash fried. It's myself. I've got a female medical assistant and a female fourth-year medical student in the room with me. So the point there is love plus love plus love. You understand? And actually, might talk about a book that I'm super fond of called Power versus Force, but that whole energy thing is a logarithmic expansion. So it's not a plus plus, it's actually a times raised to the power kind of a thing. So at any rate, so we're in there with her for about 20 minutes, just taking her history, getting a plan, going over, looking at her skin, feeling her body, listening to her heart, lungs and stuff, checking it out. And guys, I swear, 20 minutes later, at 20 minutes after 12, her skin was absolutely pristine.
Wow.
Favorite verse in the Bible, John 14:12. For he who believes in me and the works that I do, he too will do these works. And greater works than these, and greater works than these will he do. Wow. Get you some of that, gentlemen.
That's amazing. That is amazing.
Yeah. So that's an example. Now, let me give you this one too. So this is 2007. As Evan knows, my daughter's been blessed with many talents in the entertainment industry. So I'm in Los Angeles with her mom and my mom on Mother's Day weekend. And we're in Pan Pacific Park. Ev, if you know where that is, it's right there at Fairfax and where the Grove is.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, sure.
So we're in that park and we're walking, the three of us. And there's a homeless guy over here who's shouting profanity just at the top of his lungs. We have the opportunity to take a left-hand turn and bypass that, which is what both of the ladies want to do. Except when they look at me, I'm like, not today. We're not bypassing it today. So as the closer we get, eventually I'm able to lock eyes with this guy. And when I do, he immediately stops his profanity. And then I decide to go over and give him a hug. Now, this is, mind you, a no fear. Later, I thought, well, gee whiz, that was an interesting thing that I did.
Bold move, yeah.
It's a bold move.
Yeah.
I mean, what if he had a knife? I go in to hug him.
Right.
Now I have a sucking chest wound and I need a chest tube right, for my pneumothorax.
Yeah.
Right? Only thought about that later.
In
the moment, it was about the fact that we're all connected in the kingdom. This is a hurting soul. At any given moment, a person is either expressing love or expressing a need for love.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so I go over, I give him the hug, and then I come back on the trail, and we walk, 6 or 7 minutes maybe, and here he goes again. GD, F, and this and that and the other. Dr. G, you didn't really affect that guy. Okay, I can accept that. Or for 6 minutes in that guy's life, he had peace.
That's what I was going to say.
Wow.
Yeah, I definitely think you affected him.
So from the book, Power versus Force, and we'll get into it, but it has to do with higher degrees of vibrational energy. It's in the joy section, I believe. Love dissolves negativity not by attacking it, but by recontextualizing it. In other words, it wasn't anything I said, right?
Yeah.
It was a vibrational field called compassion that I chose.
Yeah.
And once I moved my energy into that space, the miracle occurred.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does, because the two
frequency
greatest commandments, right?
Amen, brother.
Love your gun, love your neighbor.
Yeah.
The greatest is love.
That's
awesome.
really cool. That's really, really beautiful.
Yep. So thanks for the question, man. Good job.
That was awesome. I hope that encourages people.
Yeah.
Just 'cause sometimes somebody just needs a compliment, a hug, a smile.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think that's exactly it. I mean, it's really easy to, like the girls wanted to kind of do, like just avoid it. It's a problem. It's uncomfortable.
It's scary.
Avoid it. And it is scary. I mean, yeah, of course. But kudos, man.
Yeah. Thanks.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
We talked a lot about detoxes and what kind of works and what doesn't. Is there anything that you've heard, any of these kind of like far out plans to, pull things out of the body that you just kind of hear and roll your eyes at and say, this is just absolutely ridiculous? And if so, what are those? Because
not necessarily a specific detox, wrap yourself in seaweed and whatever. I don't roll my eyes.
Yeah.
Because I haven't had the experience.
Yeah. I guess that's a good point, though.
Have the experience. But Ev, I'm glad you brought it up, because guys, this is very important that I want to bring up. Okay, so we'll call it modern medicine, standard of care. Mm-hmm. Okay, standard of care, as I talk about, this is the whole reason I wrote this book, guys. Whole reason I wrote the book. United States spends more money on healthcare than any country in the world. And we're the 35th healthiest country. I think, Brett, I found that on Bloomberg. That's a quote from Bloomberg. Spend more money, number one in spending, 35th healthiest country. So there's the breakdown. Okay? There's the issue. There's the reason to take time to write this. Okay. So now we've identified an issue. Greed on the standard of care side. Okay. Mm-hmm. People are smart, and they're even smarter after the whole 2020 fiasco.
Yep.
The chimichanga event.
We might call it the chimichanga event. Chimichanga event. So they're now like, okay, well, we're starting to realize that these guys, standard care is really not for us. So maybe there's this thing called alternative medicine. Mm-hmm. Okay. But guys, here's the point I want to get across. There's greed in alternative medicine as well.
Yeah.
Let me do a $1,200 oxalate test that has essentially zero clinical application before I spend $18.54 on equipment for coffee enema, which detoxes my liver, which is the number one organ I need on point to fight the assault of all this toxic stuff I'm eating and drinking every day. Are you guys with me?
Yeah, 100%. 100% with you.
That's key.
Foundation
Foundation first,
right?
What's that?
A coffee enema is, a lot of people are going to have an issue doing.
I've never done this before, but I would imagine it's a little tricky, right?
Well, Brett, I mean, I'm glad. So. Again, I'm glad you brought it up because for elderly people, people with musculoskeletal stuff or severe arthritis, severe obesity, they're not going to be able to get from their bathtub to their toilet. No way. They're not agile enough to do it. Thank you for the point. Now, a lot of those people will be able to go to a colonic center, though.
Okay.
Because they can climb.
You could do them there?
They can climb up onto the colonic board.
Right.
Whereas they can't get down and back up out of their shower stall.
But the stigma, too, right? I feel like the stigma is going to be an issue.
The thought of it is a little bit
no matter the
intense.
Health benefits.
Good point. People are wise, and the older they get, the wiser they get. And when they hear me talk about it, and when they hear me say this is something I've done about 300 times in my life, and I'm sharing that information to reassure you about the safety of it, I mean, they're in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Can I ask a dumb question? talk to me a little bit about the difference in a colonic versus a coffee enema.
Oh, what a great, I love it because I do both. So the coffee enema is basically what it sounds like. You're brewing up some coffee, which is very hot, and you're not going to put that back there.
Okay, right.
So that's going into a pitcher of water that's very cold.
Do you need
and
to
the
use...
resulting organic with caffeine.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
And the resulting liquid is warmish. 2 scoops of baking soda to bring the pH up a little bit because coffee is a little acid forming. And then, it goes into what do I use? You guys wouldn't know what a hot water bottle is, but when we were kids, you get an ear infection, your mom would put a hot water bottle on your ear to help with the pain. So it goes into what looks like a hot water bottle. It's got a tube on the end of it, a little plastic attachment. And that goes in your poop hole, and you lie on your left side.
Glad we got that out of the way.
That was very, very nice how you handled it.
And
that's a medical term.
It's a medical term.
This is a doctor, ladies and gentlemen.
Poop hole. It actually reminds me of that movie where Tom, it's Robin Williams. He's a Patch Adams, remember?
Yes.
I don't know if you guys, he's trying to come up with rectum, and he throws out poop chute, and he's like, damn it, I know the name of that part of the body. I'm a damn medical student. It's the rectum, but all he could get out was poop chute.
Poop chute works too.
But anyway, so that takes a certain amount of time to infuse. Once it's in, this is the key part of it. You're retaining it for 10 minutes because it's the retention of the liquid that. There's a group of veins that goes actually starts at your esophagus and goes all the way to the anus. And so it takes that time for that plexus of veins to uptake the coffee. And then there's a specific circulatory system between your gut and your liver called the hepatic portal system. So it carries that to the liver, stimulates the liver to dump its toxins, and that's how it works to detox the liver.
Gotcha.
Okay. Interesting.
In fact, Mark, I'll give it to you. Pancreatic cancer. So that's the coffee enema. Colon and liver detox. Okay. Now, colonic.
Yeah.
Okay. Colonic is a place you go and you're on like an incline board. And there's an attachment that, looks like maybe double the size of a pen, but about that diameter that's going in where the sun doesn't shine.
Yeah.
And now it's just plain water, okay, being infused. There's a point where that becomes a little uncomfortable, so you release it. And there's actually a clear plastic tube so you can watch this poop, going through the tube. But once that's out of you, now the next time the water goes in, it can go up higher. And then you release that, and so on.
And so what's the benefit of coffee?
45 minutes to an hour. But I usually lose 1 pound when I go in there. And one time I lost 4 pounds at the colonic center. 4 pounds of poop is 4 pounds of toxins.
And what's the benefit of coffee over water?
Well,
like does coffee
two different animals.
Right.
Coffee enema, liver detox.
Okay.
Yeah, you're going to flush out a little poop down there too. But the main purpose behind the coffee enema is to detox your liver.
And how does it do that?
I just explained it.
Well, I know, but why coffee? Like, why doesn't water do it?
What's the mechanism?
It's the with caffeine. Caffeine is the stimulus for the liver to dump its toxins.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. Whereas the water's just plain water. Its idea is just like a Drano in a drain.
Right. It's just flushing it out.
Exactly.
Flushing out the water lines.
Let me ask you this about a colonic. Is there a concern about eliminating the good bacteria that's in there?
Not really a concern.
Okay.
But I love the question because, yes, if a person has got, persistent diarrhea, the first thing we're going to do is take them off gluten and dairy.
Yeah.
We're probably going to throw some antifungals in there to handle that. We're going to get them on Mark's probiotics and digestive enzymes to repopulate the good guys.
Yep.
And give it, a little bit of time. But yes, if that doesn't work, we have a handout for something called a probiotic retention enema. And that's exactly what's going on.
Interesting. Okay.
Dissolve it in the water, let it sit there, let it grow, let it kind of...
That's a cool idea. Haven't ever heard of that before.
That's
I like
shoot,
that.
Man.
Okay.
That's
amazing.
Okay, yeah.
I'm also, I have to applaud you because I'm impressed that you do this coffee enema
Once a week. Yeah.
That's
That's
impressive.
That is impressive.
Started my daughter on it when she was 17. Now, again, in our building, if you're a teenager or you're in the 20s family, you got a big red ass for Supergirl or Superman, whichever.
Yeah.
So, I mean, once every 4 weeks is fine. You guys now in your 30s, once every 3 weeks.
Yeah.
That'll be the same in your 40s, but once you get in your 50s, it'll be once a week.
Okay.
Older car needs more maintenance, right? Just like a regular,
I'm going to do it.
just like a regular car.
Yeah.
You sold me on it, man. I'm going to do it.
Please don't video it. Just report back to
I'm going to video it, and I'm going to play it on this show.
us. Report back. You don't need to see it.
Brett,
Get all the angles.
So, guys, let me talk about Dr. Gonzalez, and then we're going to talk about pancreatic cancer and coffee enema.
Okay.
In fact, and then we can talk about Julie, who I took on your dad's show.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So there he is. That was him. That's him right there.
Okay. Dr.
Okay.
Gonzalez.
So that guy right there, Dr. Nicholas Gonzalez, and a Dr. Bradstreet in the summer of 2015. See it? July 21, 2015.
Yeah.
He wasn't 67, guys. He was, I don't believe that's correct. I think he was a perfectly healthy 54. But at any rate,
Okay.
he and this Dr. Bradstreet in the summer of 2015 invented a treatment for cancer called GC-MAF, granulocyte macrophage activating factor. Super safe, non-toxic. What it basically does, it just, what you guys might imagine, it's making our white cells, our white blood cells, which fight infection and cancer and that, making them better killers of cancer.
Okay.
Totally safe and non-toxic. Dr. Bradstreet, double barrel shotgun to his chest and floated down a river in North Carolina.
Oh, he was
now,
killed.
Supposedly the news, we might pull that up because that might be kind of interesting. Supposedly he shot himself with a double barrel shotgun in the chest. So let's logistically break this down.
Very hard to do.
Very hard to do.
Very tricky.
And that's, isn't it sort of interesting? I just figured out a cure for cancer. I'm so happy I'm going to go shoot myself in the chest with a double barrel shotgun.
Yep.
That's kind of interesting. And then Dr. Nicholas Gonzalez, or Suzanne Summers' doctor, was perfectly healthy and all of a sudden died in his office at 5:30 in the morning on Tuesday. Little difficult for me to buy that.
I think, wasn't this around a time when like a lot of doctors were mysteriously dying like this? A guy threw himself off of a bridge and like all this random stuff. I think that was like around.
In fact, Brett, our healthnutnews.com. So I don't know if you guys know the name Dr. Joseph Mercola. Huge doc, pioneer in our field. He's absolutely enormous. Most frequent clinical hits on his website per month, health related
he's been drugged
in the
dirt
world
too, man.
His girlfriend's name is Erin Elizabeth.
Okay.
Healthnutnews.com, and she basically chronicled what you're talking about.
That's what I was thinking. I know that I heard about it somewhere.
All these doctors that are just dying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, then also too, that reminds me of Dr. Dr. Belinsky in Houston. Doctor,
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I had figured out something to cure a cancer, and I think it was from like a protein in your urine or something like that. But basically, he got faced with, like, indicted like 72 times.
Mm-hmm.
Like they just kept trying to arrest him, and then finally, basically, like they shut him down.
Yeah.
But
It's not
Dr. Brzezinski or something.
uncommon,
Brzezinski
right?
is correct. Dr. Brzezinski.
It's not. I mean, that's not out of the ordinary, right? I mean, I feel like I hear that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Guys who are kind of going against the grain of the traditional medical machine, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So here's our connection: coffee enema and pancreatic cancer. So in the however many year history that Dr. Gonzalez was practicing, he had pancreatic cancer survivors that lived 20, 25, and one lady lived 30 years with pancreatic cancer.
Wow.
Foundation of treatment: high dose digestive enzymes, 36 to 45 digestive enzymes a day, and daily coffee enema.
Daily. Wow. Strengthen that liver.
Exactly.
Get that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been doing 2 shots of olive oil a day with lemon, which they say is something that can help the liver, right?
Yeah.
I feel like
that's our prescription for gallbladder flush right there.
Oh, interesting. Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Fresh squeezed lemon and olive oil.
Olive oil. Yeah. Now, is it effective on liver or not?
We use it for gallbladder flush.
Okay. Okay.
Again, guys in your age, as healthy as you guys are, every 5 to 7 days, maybe.
Okay.
Something like that.
Interesting. Yeah.
So let me talk about Julie that we took on Know the Cause. So this is a lady that was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and when I met her, so the tumor marker for that particular entity is a CA 19-9. Number should be below 35, and when I met her, hers was 514, and so we put her in the program in, I want to say June or April, somewhere in the spring of that year, and all the stuff, coffee enema, digestive enzymes, chelation, all the diet, modified ketogenic diet, all the stuff. And and when I met her, her liver enzymes were just through the roof. So again, coffee enema to detox the liver, IV glutathione and IV alpha lipoic to heal her liver, and in the subsequent 7 months, we just watched her liver enzymes get better. And in December of that year, her tumor marker that was 514 is now 77.
Wow.
It's amazing.
And at that point, what did I say? Because it's a miracle, what did I say? I know a guy, right? I know a guy who can help me bring your miracle to light. His name's Doug Kaufman.
Oh, I know him.
So we took her on the show, and they had great graphics because they'd chronicled this. I had all the data.
Yeah.
So they were able to post her liver enzymes so everybody could see that and watch her tumor marker come down to 77. Wow. And so after the show, Doug and I and Julie are sitting around talking, just, like we're doing. Three dudes. Yeah. 3 dudes. In this case, 2 dudes and a girl.
Yeah.
And the topic of coffee enema came up, and she said, Dr. G, if I met you 270 days ago, I've done 267 coffee enemas since I met you.
Wow. But it works. Like, that's at the end of the day, that's the stuff that works,
And when you can tangibly touch it with hard data, then it becomes not a seaweed wrap anymore.
Yeah,
it becomes something that you incorporate into your regimen.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I'm going to do it, man. I'm going to do it.
Seaweed wrap? Just kidding.
I mean, if I can look like you when I'm 62,
right?
Whatever it takes.
Thank you for sharing that story.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Very,
right?
very cool.
Yeah, and again, so much credit goes to your dad, to provide a platform for people to be able to see and touch these miracles.
Yeah,
right.
100%.
Yeah. Because that's how we're going to change it, guys. Again, the most recent miracle we took on your dad's show was Albert. So this is a guy that was diagnosed with brain cancer 34 months ago, and the average survival is 15 months. So he's 34 months into a 15-month survival pattern, and he still goes down to UT Southwestern every 3 months to get his checkups. And he goes in and he said, Albert, you understand that the standard of care. So guys, listen, this is a major, major, major point I want to drop. We got to absorb this point. We have to quit looking at standard of care as a good thing. It is not a good thing, right? The Olympics began yesterday. If we spent more money than any other country in the world on our Olympic team, and we finished 35th in the medals count, there's going to be hell to pay.
Yeah.
Apparently we don't give a crap about the health of our people.
Right.
This is what we're talking about. Standard of care sucks. The new mantra is standard of care sucks. It's not a good thing. It's a bad thing.
Yeah.
So Albert, the standard of care for your brain cancer is MRI brain with contrast. And of course, Doug knows Albert's a pretty stout guy.
Yeah.
He's about 1.5 a mark at least.
Yeah.
And he said, well, that might be the standard of care, but my doctor won't let you do that to me. Well, why not? Oh, because gadolinium's toxic.
Yeah.
Well, Albert, you know that part of the treatment for what you have is chemotherapy. Well, that might be true, but I'm not doing chemo. Why not? Because it's bad for you. So here's a guy, 34 months, the average survival is 15 months.
Yeah.
At some point, even guys, if it's in their subconscious mind, they have to be asking the question or scratching their head, well, gee whiz. I mean, this is what we're telling people. Here's the result. Here's this guy out here.
Sure.
You know, and we got Albert saying on Know the Cause, we quoted him. He said, you know, I figured, guys, between March of 2022 and March of 2023, I juiced 3,000 pounds of carrots.
Wow. That's a lot of juice. Wow. It's a lot of carrots.
Yeah. It's a lot of carrots.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So anyway.
So with all that being said.
So that's how we're going to change it.
Yeah.
Right? We're not going to bash him over the head.
Right.
We talked about this.
Right.
They're too much.
With love.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Love. Exactly.
Yeah.
Every miracle, we got to Julie it.
Yeah.
We got to Albert it.
Yeah.
We got to Mark it.
Yeah.
Mark's another guy took on your dad's show.
Yeah.
Third greatest miracle in the history of the practice. So that's how we're going to change it is with Holy Spirit and miracles and love.
Yeah.
Let's hear this other miracle.
Mark, yeah, so Mark's great. And again, I want to definitely leave time to talk about Rod because he's the greatest thing.
Yeah.
So Mark's about my age, so early 60s now. Again, about 57 at the time. He's just in for his yearly physical, you know, like this Mark. If this Mark came in, you could say, yeah, no, Dr. G, I'm just here for my once-a-year checkup, and I don't have any problems going on. I don't have any symptoms. So I do, at every yearly physical, I do what I call housekeeping. You know, Ev, do you have a dentist? Check. Do you have an eye doctor? Check.
Sure.
If you're over 45, when's your last colonoscopy? Check.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm just going through the thing. And I said, do you smoke? And he said, no, I don't, but I used to smoke. I said, oh, how much? Well, about 2 packs a day. 2 packs a day for how long? For about 20 years.
Oh, wow.
I said, Mark, you've got a 40-pack year history of smoking, bro. We got to get a chest x-ray. So we get a chest x-ray. He's got a 1.7 centimeter lung cancer in his right upper lobe.
And
So I said, you know, our basic approach to cancer in our office, number one, stop making cancer, right? No smoking, no drinking, minimal sugar. And if you want to be the next miracle, you have to choose the spiritual high ground, and forgiveness is the spiritual high ground. Look good, be right, be in control. That's a vibrational energy called pride, and those people don't do well. Anger, they don't do well. Fear, they don't do well. The miracles choose the high ground, and forgiveness is the high ground. So number one is stop making cancer. Number two is cut out the cancer. So I send you to a thoracic surgeon. They go in and cut out your cancer. So then he says to me, no disrespect, Dr. G, but Maureen was my hero. So Maureen's another one of our cancer miracles, had stage 4 pancreatic and stage 4 colon. They gave her 6 weeks to live, and the lady lived 3.5 years, broke a hip, and 6 months later died from complications of her hip fracture.
Oh my gosh.
Not from her stage 4 colon and pancreatic cancer.
Wow.
Maureen was my idol. I want to do this without any traditional therapy, no surgery.
yeah.
I said, well, it's not what I recommend, but I respect it. Stop making cancer, cut out the cancer, strengthen your immune system, all this stuff, coffee enema, IV vitamin C, all this stuff.
Yeah.
So at any rate, a huge part of his equation is his wife. Her name's LaDawn. She's amazing, love in his space. So we've got that energy in the equation now. He takes it, guys, to the nth degree. He works for Stream Energy, and they were flying him at the time. And he said, you know, my doctor taught me that when I go to altitude, flying makes candida. Candida makes me more acid, and cancer grows good in acid. If you want to keep me working for your company, you're going to ground me. I mean, this is how
I love
this is how far this guy took it.
Yeah.
And so we did serial chest x-rays on him. And 26 months later, he's gone.
Wow.
And he's still with us now. He's still with us now 3 years later. He's doing great.
Wow.
No chemo, no surgery, and no radiation. None.
That's
What's the Proverbs? His favorite verse is the Proverbs one. Maybe is it 3:5-6? Here goes Brett. Yeah.
Brett's got 5-6. To thine own understanding, in all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your path.
He wears that on his
pretty
wrist.
beautiful, man.
He's got a wrist thing. He wears that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's
really
third.
cool.
That's the third greatest miracle in the history of the practice.
I love what you said. The higher spiritual ground, forgiveness.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of people, when you get a diagnosis,
Fear.
you or immediately inferior and you're isolated, right? But you think about, okay, what am I going to do? I got to go get this, and this done. And you start thinking about in the physical, but you're not thinking about in the spiritual, you know, or if you are, you're not really thinking about forgiveness, love, taking a spiritual higher ground. I love that you said that.
I love that too.
Never thought of it like that.
Yeah. And I think what's awesome too is like, that's basically the foundation of our show, right? We're talking about bettering your mental health, your physical health, and your spiritual health. And when those are aligned, then things happen. And so, I mean, that's case in point. So, man, you got some awesome stories. You got some crazy stories.
After 30 years.
Yeah. They start
piling up.
Yeah, man, they really do. Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. This has been a really, really cool show.
Yes. Can you show your book to the camera and tell the audience about it,
So
please?
again, guys, this is my book. Am I pointing this in the right direction?
Right here. This one right here.
Right here?
Yep.
The big one.
The Ultimate Game Changer, John 20, 19 through 23, recontextualizing the practice of medicine. So, you know, if you say, well, what, you know, John 20, 19 through 23, I mean, what's that all about? So to set the scene, you've got 12 guys in an upstairs room on a Sunday night and the door's locked. Door's locked because they're buddies with that guy who was out in the yard a little while ago. They're not signing up for that experience anytime soon.
Yeah.
In the middle of that, Jesus shows up. Peace be with you. So for the first 55 years of my life, when I read that, I thought, well, he's saying peace, the opposite of chaos, be with you. Absolutely wrong. Peace be with you. This is who I am.
He's saying,
I am peace.
Am with you.
I am with you.
I am with you.
Peace be with you. This is what peace.
Wow.
This is what peace looks like.
Yeah.
And I'm with you.
Yeah. Wow.
And of course, they're a little surprised that a dead guy's in the room with them. And then again, guys, as you can see, you know, it's me. Here's my hands at my side, just so you guys, and you think you're hallucinating and you're seeing a ghost. You're not. This is me, and here's the evidence. Peace be with you, right? As the Father sent me, I now send you, right?
Yeah.
As Dr. Ali and Dr. Sinatra sent me, I'm now sending these two guys and that guy.
Right.
That's who I'm sending. And then he breathed on them. And that's the key moment in all of history, guys, right there. See that quote? Quote, receive the Holy Spirit. That's the moment, guys. That's the moment of possibility, right?
Yeah.
That's when we take it from, right, Mark, fear and all these low vibrational fields to the realm of the possible. Right?
There's several mentions in the Bible where breath is in the same exchange as the Holy Spirit, right? Like it's not only that one, there's a lot in there, which I've always thought was interesting. Just that wind. Yeah, exactly. The breath.
But the verse ended with
forgive.
If you forgive.
If you forgive. Yeah, there it is.
If you forgive, they're forgiven. If you hold them bound, they're held bound.
Circle.
Peace, forgiveness,
Yeah.
love.
Love that, man. Love that. Wow.
Yep.
Dr. G, thank you so much, man.
I got to talk about Rod.
Oh, yeah.
I got to do.
We're not over yet.
We're not over yet, guys.
Keep it going.
Yeah. So thank you all for sticking around for this because I'm quite confident that this story will bless you. So the greatest miracle in the 30-year history of our practice is a fellow named Rod who came into our office with a two-month prognosis with stage 4 prostate cancer 8 years ago. The tumor marker, as you guys may know, is called a PSA, that number ideally less than 4. My own father died at age 66 from stage 4 prostate cancer with a PSA of 1,272. When I met Rod, his PSA was 4,100.
Whoa.
He's dying. Are you guys with me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
So he didn't want any surgery, chemo, radiation. He'd kind of been down that road and they'd kind of given him up. So we just put him in the program, changed his oil, rotated his tires, new spark plugs, flushed his radiator, brought possibility into the space, started talking about the spiritual side of things. And there's so many Rod stories. As the miracle gets bigger, you know, his oncologist starts treating his other cancer patients like him. He said, I'm not doing any of the chemo stuff, but I'll do low-dose Lupron, which is a hormone blocker, and I'll do Casodex, which blocks another hormonal mechanism, but no chemo during the whole thing. So again, again, as the miracle begins to grow and everybody starts shifting, even as oncologist, of course, as he's, there's no context now to put him in, except the realm of the possible. His energy starts drawing people to him. Right. In other words, we in the 30-year history of the practice, we've seen patients from 17 countries on 5 continents, 42 states, and it's not not out there banging the thing. It's just it's an attractor.
You're drawing it to you.
They're being drawn because it's a positive energy field, like ion filings are drawn to a magnet, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Same thing starts happening with Rod. At one point, on a Sunday morning, somebody comes over and knocks on his front door. I do not know who you are, but I was led here today to do Bible study with you. And all of a sudden he starts holding Bible study at his house because more and more people start coming. So 1 year before he passed, so again, with a 2-month prognosis, guys, he lived 6.5 years.
Wow.
With a 2-month prognosis.
Wow.
Okay. So he passed in February of 23. In February of 2022, 1 year before he passed, he and his wife, Lisa, are traveling to the Dallas Farmers Market on a Saturday because there's a particular type of gluten-free bread that they want to buy there. The problem with Dallas Market on a Saturday is parking.
Yeah.
So Lisa pulls up and says, why don't you get out here and I'll go park and then I'll come back and then we can go about our day. And he says, okay. He said, you can go and park the car. That'll be fine. He said, but when you come back, I won't be here. And she said, well, why not? And he said, because I'm going to be across the road. And she said, why is that? He says, I don't know. So she leaves. He crosses the road. Now, remember, this is February. So for anybody who's watching at distance, it's not always 100 degrees in Texas. In February, it can get
actually pretty chilly.
It can get cold in February. So he walks across the street, and there's a large fire pit over there, and there's one open seat. So he walks over to the open seat, and there's a mother and a daughter sitting there next to the open space, and he says to the mom, he says, would you mind if I sit in this seat right here? And she said, no, go ahead and have a seat. We were just actually getting ready to get up. So as he sits down, they stand up. Of course, he's got this blank look on his face, because he's gathering, right? He's a hole in a flute. That's all he is. He's just downloading.
Yeah.
As they stand up, he looks at the mom and he said, would you mind sitting back down? Mind you, this is a total stranger who's asking you this. Would you mind sitting back down? So as they sit, for whatever reason, they decide to sit back down. Oh, why do you want us to sit back down? I don't know. For whatever reason, they sit back down, and now they're looking at him, of course, like he's got 2 heads. And again, he's just sort of blank staring off into the distance because he's downloading. And he looks at the mom and he says, there's something I'm supposed to give you. And she says, what is it? I don't know. So he reaches into his first pocket and he pulls out like a set of keys or something. He said, that didn't feel right to me, so I put it back in. He said, and I reached in my other pocket and I pulled out like a receipt from Home Depot and a single nickel. He took the nickel and he gave it to the mom and he said, this is what I'm supposed to give you. He gives her the nickel and she immediately starts bawling. I mean, she's just crying. And so she's sort of the odd person out now, and Rod and the daughter are looking at her like, what's up, So they give her time, to grieve. And then, when she dries her tears, what's up? And she said, I was very close with my father, and I was blessed and lucky enough to be at his bedside when he was crossing. And he said this to me. He said, when I cross and when I'm gone, he said, here's the thing. I'm gonna still be with you. I'm gonna be walking with you. I'm gonna be protecting you. And he said, the reason you'll know that what I'm speaking to you is truth is in about 2 years from now, a man who you have never met will hand you a single nickel. And when that occurs, you will have confirmation that what I'm telling you is true.
Wow.
Whoa.
And that's the Holy Spirit, guys. That's how powerful it is.
That is wild.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow, man.
Yep. One week later, they go back to the same exact spot. He and Lisa are walking in this direction, and as he's telling the story, he's like, "We're walking that way." She comes up behind. He goes, "I feel these two arms grab me from behind, and I turn around, and it's the daughter."
Oh, wow, man. How cool. How cool.
I cannot thank you enough for what you did for my mom. She had so much angst, and after that moment, she said she's totally free now.
Wow.
Yeah.
How crazy. You know what's crazy? I was at a church thing one time, and I remember the speaker said, he said, the second that you just ask God, like if you're in a grocery store, if you're wherever, ask God to give you something that somebody else needs to hear, whether it's something that you tell them or a hug or whatever it is. He was like, lives will change. He was like, I guarantee you, lives will change.
And it does.
Yeah.
There is nothing more profound. And I don't think you can get closer to communicating with God than when the Holy Spirit presses on you and gives you this thought.
Yeah.
It's not going to be an audible voice.
Yeah.
So sometimes maybe, for sure. But it could be a feeling. It could be like an urge to do or to give or, to say, but it's like when you execute and follow through and things like this happen.
Yeah.
Dude.
I know. And you got to listen and you got to be confident about it. Cause I'm thinking about myself. Like if God was like, hey, go up to that lady and give her a nickel. I'm thinking of every excuse in my mind that's saying, what are you doing?
Dude.
But the second that you listen and obey, that's when lives change. And man, that is incredible.
And think about what the church, the body of Christ, our community, our world would look like.
Yeah.
If we did lean in.
Oh, I know.
To that. And because, it's scary. Like it's like, reach in your pocket and give her a nickel.
I know.
First of all, you asked her to sit back down. You know what I mean? Like, it's courage that takes this to happen.
It's lining up. Yeah.
Well,
Think about what it would
but there's
look
no there's no self involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Remove yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Remove yourself.
He's a hole in a flute. That's all he is.
Yeah.
Essentially a non-entity. He's just channeling the breath.
That's a powerful story, man.
Tell Brittany that story.
Yeah, that's a powerful story.
That is amazing.
What a guest, man. Jeez.
Yeah. So that's an ender, right?
We got to do this again, man.
We will. We'll do it again.
I've got so many more questions and topics.
Yeah. We need to do it again.
Yeah.
I think
we need to for sure. How long has this one been?
We're at an hour and 43 minutes.
This is the longest one we've done.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like that.
Yeah.
Sure.
This is like 2 episodes.
Yeah. And I like I said, I think 3 is the perfect number. So we'll plan to do it.
I know you said 3, but I'm kind of thinking
We'll
we
see.
step it up.
Yeah, we'll see.
No, for sure. Because there is a lot of people out there that need some help, and the biggest one, we're talking young guys. We could wrap, by the way. This is
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much.
Yep. And
thank you.
And
absolute pleasure.
Thank you guys for having me on, and thank you, the people that are watching this, because guys, we need you, right? We need you. I'm gonna, if you guys will give me just 1 minute.
Yeah.
This is some powerful stuff. So I don't need to look. I know what he said. So the greatest pastor in my life is a fellow who's since passed. Pastor of a church in Houston called God's House. His name was Darren Begley, and he's, it's a Sunday, and he's, doing his thing, and so he throws a question out to the audience. Why did Jesus come? So he's waiting for people to, put their 2 cents in. Well, he came to show us the right way to live, and he came to forgive us from our sins. He came to die on the cross, and so it gives him a chance to answer.
Yeah.
And then he says this. He came to reconcile all things unto himself, and he's going to use you to be a major part of it. So that's the assignment, guys, for you. We need you guys on the team. Anything we're talking about that gives you value. I listened to this crazy doctor on this podcast, and he told me to put coffee up my rear, and I was like, that's the stupidest thing in the world. But for whatever reason, right? So Mark would tell you that's the Holy Spirit speaking to you.
Yep.
For whatever reason, I decided to stick coffee up my butt, and I couldn't believe how clear I was thinking, and I couldn't believe how much energy I had.
Yeah.
So I decided, John 14:16, to trust my experience.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about, guys. Whatever you get value from, whether it's coffee enema or IV chelation, like Evan's mom or whatever, share that. Share it in the kingdom. We're all connected.
Yeah.
Health revelation number 1 is the most important. We're all connected. Right?
Yeah.
That's the key. That's what's going to change it is when we all team up, right?
Yeah.
So I appreciate you guys, sticking with us for an hour and 40 minutes and using whatever value to help your loved ones.
I think this has been a perfect show to represent what this entire podcast and the messaging behind it is about, right? Yeah. It's about mind, body, and spirit. And when those things are aligned, lives change and big things happen. So thank you guys for hanging out with us. You guys definitely check out Dr. Gonino's book. I have yet to read it. I just got it, but I'm sure it's going to be a game changer, as it says. Thank you so much. Please like and subscribe. It really helps us. Please share this video to friends and family. And guys, we want this to be a strong community. So if there's things that you feel comfortable dropping comments in, hey, look, I need prayer for this. I need this. I'm struggling with this or that. Let us help. Let the community here help. Be open and honest about those things. We will pray. Mark will pray. I will pray. Brett will pray. Dr. G will pray. Let us help with any of that stuff. We are here to try to make a change. So thank you guys for sticking around. Again, like and subscribe, and we will catch you guys on the next one.